One of the things that I love to do Sunday morning is bring on new faces with new stories. This individual has been on the channel a couple of times, but we need to celebrate a big milestone. Then we're going to have him actually ask me some juicy questions. Jack, I understand you are halfway to financial independence. I think that's a big moment. That's pretty cool. Let's celebrate that for a minute. Let's tell people how you did it. How'd you get halfway?
Well, I started with one rental, and I bought a second rental, and then as I was started working on, then I bought the third rental, which is a fourplex or two duplexes, so it's 3 or 4 depending on which document you're looking at.
Sure.
Because even the county can't even agree on it if it's a fourplex or 2 duplexes, but either way. And anyway, I was working on it the other day when I started, for some reason, sat down and started doing the math and stuff. And I realized, I was like, we're halfway there to financial independence. Like, once I finish this unit, we're halfway there. I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's amazing. Remind me, how long ago was that first purchase? That first
2020. Yeah, I thought it was a different year, but when I was looking it up just out of curiosity, that the same day, it was 2020.
Yeah, so you start this journey in 2020 with your first rental. Take a couple of years, buy the next one. Take a couple. This is the one rental at a time journey, right? People hear the story, they hear the numbers, and they feel like it's done overnight. It's never done overnight. Getting wealthy is a 10-year journey. I keep telling people the 3 steps to getting wealthy: create disposable income, become elite, and then 10 years. You're halfway there because you're halfway there. This is an amazing story. We should celebrate getting, and I tell people all the time, you hear it, the first 5 years suck. It's when you make the mistakes. It's when the lessons learned come. But what happens after 5 years is you get a little bit more experience. You get, inflation's a feature, not a bug. So you get more time for that first asset to appreciate, the second one. And I just want to say congratulations. I also want to say keep going, right? Getting halfway is halfway, right? You still need to complete the race. So Jack, congratulations, and don't stop now.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm super excited. I'm honestly excited about the next one. It kind of re-energized me after figuring that out. Like, yeah, I haven't had this much energy since the Vegas event.
Nice. Now, and sometimes we just got to step back and just look at where we've been, right? I wrote the book that became the bestseller, One Rental at a Time, because I never looked back. I was so focused on the next day, the next day, the next day, that I never took a step back and looked at it. And man, we climbed, a big mountain. We got to financial freedom, replaced 2 6-figure incomes. We did amazing things. And it wasn't until I broke down and, started writing that book that I'm like, oh my God, we really did some cool stuff. We really, we did some spectacular mistakes, but we did some really cool stuff. So I would actually tell everybody, if you've been in this business any longer than 2 years, take 10 minutes, take 15 minutes, appreciate where you are and where you've been. Maybe it will be that re-energize. Maybe it'll help you to re-energize, like Jack said. And it's like, I'm ready to keep going. I'm ready to keep fighting. So I love this conversation. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely super excited. I'm super stoked. And I honestly, and what's funny is I just finished a unit, a different unit. I've had 2 vacancies. I just finished a unit, and I had so much energy after I figured that out. I actually stayed up for like 36 hours straight just to get it finished. You take the pictures, get it listed, and like it didn't even faze me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, again, I think getting halfway is an amazing milestone. Most people never get here. Most people give up at year 1 or year 2. You're starting to see the momentum, the compounding, the cash flow snowball, as Dion likes to call it. So congratulations. Keep going. I know you had some questions for me too. Why don't we jump to those? Because I love these questions, and maybe we can help others.
Yes. So you've been talking about a buyer's market, and there's signs of it out in your neck of the woods, and especially in like Dion's area. But when do you think? And I know it's market specific, but when do you think roughly we can see it on the East Coast?
That's a great question, because, and again, I've actually had this conversation a bunch with Lance Lambert from Resi Club, because he has the analytics. If you're not following him, it's a mistake. And I think he has a couple of maps that just show the country is slowly moving to a buyer's market, right? It started in Florida, then it went in that little Gulf Coast to Texas, then it hit California and Colorado and up the West Coast, and it seems to be moving, up to the Northeast. I suspect, again, every market's different. You know, So first off, I don't think the Northeast will ever be a buyer's market like Texas and Florida. So let's get the magnitude right. I think Texas and Florida have some unique challenges. So I'm not expecting that kind of thing. But when you look at the map, we're about to end the spring selling season in most of the country, including the Northeast. Right, we're about to get in the summer where I understand much of the country, like the Northeast, takes off and they try to enjoy the good weather because you just went through winter. So I would expect the Northeast in general to kind of feel like a buyer's market. Let's call it September.
Okay.
September, October. Now, again, every market will be different, as you've said. But so what would a buyer's market in the Northeast look like? So taking today's date, right? If you had a buy box today, I'd write down this stat. How many available listings in my buy box? Let's say there's 27. I'm just making stuff up. So a buyer's market in September might have that buy box have 54, right? So I think we're going to see increased listings and less demand, and that's going to bring a buyer's market to the Northeast and just with more supply and less demand. So I'm gonna ballpark it September. And if you look at Lance Lambert's maps, you can see it just kind of growing to the Northeast. So that's my wild guess.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, I was just kind of curious because I know that every market's different, and like
Sure.
I don't even know how much of a market we're going to necessarily change in the Pittsburgh area because, like, I'll give you a prime example. During the Great Financial Crisis, prices dropped, but it wasn't like the rest of the country. We were more or less compared to the rest of the country almost unscathed.
Yeah. No, again, that's why I was very clear. You're in Pittsburgh, you're not going to see 22% down like Austin, Texas. A buyer's market in Pittsburgh to me maybe doesn't even have price point failures or price point drops. It has more inventory. That's what a buyer's market is, right? More months of inventory.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And honestly, I would only kind of expect to see maybe 5%. It's
Yeah.
not going to be anything crazy.
But here's the deal. I want to be very clear on this. When you talk about a market, in this case, we're talking about Pittsburgh, and then you look at the median and all of that, the median might be down 0. But that does not mean you can't find that one motivated seller and get an amazing deal, right? When people talk about a market being unscathed, that doesn't mean every seller was unscathed. That could mean some sellers got their ass handed to them. So again, I don't think Pittsburgh's going to see much, if any, price drop. But in a market that goes buyer, where inventory in your buy box doubles, I guarantee you there's at least one motivated seller in there that you can find or create an amazing deal. That's the mindset I want you to have.
Thank you.
Very cool. All right. So that's the question number 1. What do you got next?
So like your journey that you discussed in one rental at a time, where you walked in one day and you just didn't have a job anymore.
Yep.
I'm running into a similar situation where very almost identical to your situation. I'm going to be forced out of my job. I don't know if it's going to be anywhere from 3 months to 24 months. I don't know when it's going to happen.
Okay.
So what I do for a living is too specialty niched. I'm going to have to make a career change, and I wanted to know, in your opinion, what can I expect as far as investing? I know that I may have to have 2 years of whatever my new career is. I'm thinking about doing CDL. I'm already been started studying for the permit and all that stuff. And what can I expect by making such a drastic career change?
Well, the beauty that you have today that I didn't have in the past was you have
You there?
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm back now. I'm not sure what happened.
I think it's on my end. Back to my statement. Hopefully I can clean up that little gap. But what I would tell you is you're lucky because you have DSCR lenders today that I didn't have, and DSCR lenders rates are relatively similar to conventional. So I wouldn't worry about that for a second. I wouldn't add a drop of stress to anything you're doing. It's not going to impact your investing journey at all. Where it might impact you is if you were going to buy a primary home, right? If you're going to
Okay.
go out and get a conventional or whatever, that might be a problem. But as far as your investing journey goes, don't give it a second thought. There are plenty of DSCR lenders that will do great deals at near the same interest rate. So don't sweat that for a minute.
Okay. Yeah, because I know like Cynthia is probably going to be looking for another primary house because she does a different strategy than what I do. Where I do kind of like what you and Olivia do, where she does more like Mindy Jensen,
Yeah.
where she buys a house, fixes it up, and lives in it for a while, and then that's kind of her strategy. So
yeah, that would be a problem. That would be a problem.
Yeah, but I completely forgot about DSCR loans. So yeah, that'll take care of that.
Yeah, I wouldn't give it a second thought. Good. Okay.
One more thing I forgot to mention. I wanted to celebrate. On the YouTube channel, one of my I was joking about it, okay? Like when I first started a YouTube channel, okay? And I never thought this would actually happen. But and it happened. I was able to get Simon the Uneducated Economist to come on a week or two ago. I was so excited about that.
Nice. Yeah, I saw that. I saw you guys talked. You guys want to have you guys suggested we get Simon and Anna Kelly together. I'm trying to make that happen. Scheduling is a challenge, but congratulations. Yeah, Simon, the Uneducated Economist, he's a big deal. Congratulations.
Yeah, I was surprised he said yes.
Simon's
we started talking out in Vegas and hit it off.
Nice. Yeah, no, Simon's a good dude. Yeah, he's the real deal. So that is a big accomplishment. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, any other closing, like what would you tell somebody who's at year 1, right? You're at year 5 now, you're halfway there. Is it worth the struggle? Is it worth the learning? Is it worth the effort?
So I actually am working on this right now. I was out at a restaurant, me and Cynthia were having dinner, and our waitress was saying that she was looking to get towards retirement and stuff. She's 21 years old. I am so excited, and like I'm trying to like mentor her and stuff. So I've actually been doing a lot of thought into this. And we next time we meet up, we're going to establish a buy box.
Nice.
But my advice is figure out your path. And that was what we talked about in the first meeting. Let's figure out your path. Are you going to own a small business? Are you going to do stocks? Do you have, like you said, you're not a stock investor. Do you want to do real estate? And she was saying that she's probably going to try and do a house hack with a duplex, have a roommate in on her side. And I was just like, I am so excited for you. I was like, by the time you're my age, I'm only 35. It's like, you'll be retired. I was like,
oh, absolutely.
You'll have the rest of your, I was like, you can live the rest of your life wherever you want. I was like,
that's awesome. Well, Jack, what is your YouTube channel?
Jack's Business Talk. It is on YouTube, and you get to see the good, the bad, the ugly, and just everything in between.
There you go, Jack. Keep it up, buddy. You're amazing. Congrats on your success. Have fun. Have a great weekend. Later.
Thank you. You too.